Welcome to this edition of Labor Vision. I'm Bob Delaney, Executive Director of the Institute for Labor Studies and Research. Labor Vision, a production of the Institute, focuses on topics of importance to working Rhode Island families. We hope you enjoy this evening's edition.
At the end of the day, it's all about results. And so we have some results we want to share with you, and the results for us are the young people who have successfully graduated from Building Futures, who have found a career in the trades, and who are now supporting themselves and their family. And so first I'd like to ask Mr. Alvin Reyes to come to the stand.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alvin Reyes, and I am a former graduate of Building Futures and currently an apprentice with the local IBEW Electricians Union. When I first entered this program, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was a college dropout, and I was struggling. I mean, I was in a turmoil. The economy was in dire circumstances, and I had no idea how was I going to provide for my family. The tools that Building Futures has been able to provide for me have been astronomical. I mean, this has been a transformation in my life. I've been able to use some of them tools to provide a college fund for my daughter. They have taught me to they've set the bar this high, and once you reach there, they ask you, what now? So I can't begin to describe to you the transformation in my life because of this program. I never thought in my life that I would pick up a hammer or a tape measure and use them tools to create a profession. I came into this program thinking I was going to get a job, some type of form to provide for my family. And it has been a profession. I mean, I've worked on projects in Brown University, innovative energy technology projects such as the wind turbines with the IBEW, things that will be here long after I'm probably gone. And every time I drive by there with my daughter, I always mention, and she tells me, Daddy, I know, you worked on them projects, I know, you know, and those projects,
We all do.
I know, and even Mr. Michael Sabatoni used to tell us when he used to come over, you know, all the projects we worked on, I tell my kids every time, I never thought I would be part of that. And every time I drive by there, I show my daughter's 9 years old, and she tells me, Daddy, I know, don't tell my friends, I know already. But so many different, they don't just teach you how to work in the construction environment. They teach you different tools that you're gonna need throughout your life. I learned to invest in mutual funds. I never thought about that. I didn't even know what they were before I came here. I learned to save money. I got to purchase my first home because of this program. So when I tell you that this program makes a difference, it made a difference not only in my life, in the life of the rest of the members here, the graduates. We're a family. I've tried so many different programs, and you know, with these tough times, anything that you can do, you would try, but Building Futures surely has made a difference. And I just want to let you know that, you know, I'm grateful for being in this environment and being able to provide for my family. I want to thank you all for coming, and the best gift that this program has allowed me to give to everybody. I mean, God said, let there be light, and here I am giving light to all of you because of the IBEW. So thank you very much, and thank you for coming.
Our second graduate is Ms. Darché Hood.
Good morning. How are you? Thanks for coming. My name's Darché Hood. I like to talk a lot, but I'm not a great public speaker. So I'll make this very brief, and I feel like they set me up because I'm last, and everyone's pretty much said what I wanted to say. I also left what I wanted to write, what I wanted to say at home, but that's no reflection on Building Futures. They have taught me to be very prepared, so that's no reflection on them. But I just briefly wanted to say that Building Futures it's not just a program. As Al said, it is a family, it is an organization, it's something real, it's something tangible. You can see it, you can touch it. It is something real. I'm a product of private school. I went to Lincoln School on the East Side. I did have some college under my belt. I lost a job. I was collecting unemployment, used my unemployment waiver, but I still had to eat. And I never thought I'd pick up a hammer. The people that I came into the program with thought I should put it down. But I came through and I made it happen. I worked with mutual funds. I worked at a place called Boston Financial, and I did mutual funds. And when I lost my job, I was at a loss because I was out of work for so long. And when I came through this program, it was a real program. I was able to see what I would be doing. I was able to have an opportunity to know what I would be getting myself into. And they were very supportive and they were very helpful. And as everyone said, it's not a job that I've been given. It's an opportunity. It's a skill. They gave me an opportunity and I was able to open the door. And they've given me a skill which I'm able to utilize. I now have a trade. I now have a career. I've met a lot of people, which it's given me an opportunity to create business, to create a business. I too have been able to buy a home. So, thank you. So whenever Building Futures calls on me, because I always call on them, I definitely pay it forward. And with the opportunity that they've given me, as I said, I was able to buy a home, and now with those taxes, I have to pay it back. But I have to honestly say, one thing that I really have to say is a lot of my brothers and sisters that are here, that I see, most of them I do see on brown jobs. I'm in Local 6, which is out of Massachusetts, and they cover a lot of New England, so I'm fortunate enough to be able to work all over, and most of my work is in Massachusetts. But when I am here in Rhode Island, my son's I know, is the CAC building off of Thayer Street. It's like an arts building, I believe. And that's the building that I point to, and my son says, I know. But I mean, the main thing I wanted to say is this program is real. These people are real. Anyone and everyone deserves an opportunity, to be able to be a productive part of their society and their community, because that's really all that we want. We want to keep it going. And I'd love to see my brothers and sisters on jobs outside of Brown. I'd love to be in Rhode Island. I'd love to not get up at 4 in the morning to go to Boston. It would be a beautiful thing. So I'm very glad that you're all here, and I hope that everyone continues to support this program and support us. Thank you.
Our last speaker is Andrew Cortés, the Director of Building Futures, who was once again there before there was a Building Futures. And you all know that it takes lots and lots of people working together to make anything happen. However, it also takes a visionary and a leader. And at the end of the day, the one person in this state who is most responsible for the success of Building Futures is Andrew Cortés. Andrew, please come up.
You were not set up the worst. That would be me. So, first I have to say a few thank yous. I'm not going to thank everybody. If I did, this would be an award ceremony, not a presentation. But I have to thank our really strong leadership represented here by our congressional delegation. They're absolutely astounding, incredible supporters. Second, the co-founders of Building Futures. I was running a program called Youth Build at the time, and a lot of my experiences there helped inform how we shaped Building Futures. So I was there, and there was Pat McGuigan, And I have to thank him because without his leadership and support of the idea of the concept of Building Futures, we wouldn't be here today. So thank you, Pat. He's more than just an MC. And I also have to thank Greg Mancini, chair of our advisory council. Greg, really, and all of our advisory council members. It's a powerful group of folks. We have 24 decision makers from the private sector, the public sector, from academia, from policy, wherever they are to have a stake in the construction industry, they're on our council. And I have to thank them all. Many of them are here with us today, so thank you very much. And then last, and definitely not least, graduates and staff. That's my motivation to wake up in the morning. You guys are it, all right? But I'll tell you what, if we didn't have a good, strong staff team, none of this would be possible. I'm honored to be part of the team that we have. So, with that, I do speak quickly. I do have a lot to cover. I will try to be brief, I promise. Okay, so I really appreciate the opportunity to share some of what we've learned through Building Futures and the outcomes that we've achieved because they represent a solution. They represent a solution that has broader implications than just for the construction sector, and that's really where we organize and work around the construction sector, but this has implications beyond it. So we're really, really honored to be able to share some results and what we've learned with you today. So, as I mentioned, Building Futures, we are a vehicle for positive change. So many people in the room here are also creating positive change. So I feel like I'm in really good company. And once again, I thank you for joining us because I feel like I'm in a room full of peers. People who are trying to create positive change in their own space. And I'm really fortunate that I'm able to share how we went about it with you today. So it's a very collaborative partnership. A lot of major construction employers, contractor associations, trade unions, community-based organizations, and decision makers in all sorts of different arenas who all want to ensure that there is a vital, healthy construction sector here in Rhode Island so that Rhode Islanders can work on the Rhode Island projects to come. So that's what Building Futures is. So we came together, we ran a pilot year in 2007, sort of work out some of the kinks with the pre-apprenticeship model and did a lot of planning with our advisory council, sort of a formal launch right around the 2007-2008 line when we formally launched Building Futures. And, you know, again, just a special thanks to then Mayor David Cicilline, who helped us launch it on the rooftop of the Westin right there in November 2007. We really appreciated that. And here's what we all came together to try to figure out. There are some challenges within the sector, within the construction industry, and we needed to figure out what those solutions were. We had two major problems. We have this aging workforce. There's a loss of skilled journey workers that's happening, growth or not, attrition due to retirement. Our skill sets are leaving Rhode Island with the age of our workforce. And the problem, there's not enough apprentices who are currently being trained on projects now to meet the demand when all of those skilled journey workers are gone. Because apprenticeship takes 3 to 5 years to truly become occupationally competent. I went through apprenticeship. It was the foundation of my career. I know it works. So that was problem number one. How are we going to meet the future demand? Problem number two was the quality of the applicants to registered apprenticeship programs. There was a skills gap. Our skills gap was on the front end, before people entered employment as registered apprentices. The applicants that the building trades were getting, the retention rates in the programs of these high-quality apprenticeship programs was between 40 to 60%, depending on the trade. They invest so much. Apprenticeship is private sector. That's employers investing in workforce training in partnership with labor unions who also help provide all of this training. They're making these massive investments, private sector workforce development, but they were losing their money on the front end. That couldn't happen anymore. So that's where we came in and we said, okay, here's two core programs we will design, launch, implement together to address these two issues. So the pre-apprenticeship program, very comprehensive. And I'll actually ask folks' attention right over here to this chart. The one that looks like a triangle, this is our pre-apprenticeship program. In a way, for me to try to explain, because a lot of people don't understand what we do on the front end. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit more in detail about that and the other graphic in just a minute. But before we actually get into how we got into those two solutions, you have to understand an advantage we had in the construction industry. We have registered apprenticeship. Registered apprenticeship is not well understood. A lot of people confuse it with internships. They think it's a career exploration. It's something that's pre-employment. So let me just briefly tell you what registered apprenticeship is. It is the preeminent workforce development system of our country. It is one of the best kept secrets out there. It works incredibly well. It is structured employment. You enter employment at a good starting wage. $16 an hour is what our graduates start at on average. Good starting wage. It's employment that's structured so you learn on the job, which is how we all learn best. I cannot think of one person who does not learn through experience. That's what apprenticeship is based on. You combine that with classroom time to make sure you have all the theory down. You work on the job, you gain the skills, you go to school, your wages move up. That process continues throughout your apprenticeship until you become a journey worker. That's what registered apprenticeship is. There's over 1,000 occupations with registered apprenticeship. 1,000. I always quote one that I always find amusing, prosthetic limb makers, right? There's an apprenticeship for it, and I actually better check to make sure they're still running because I reference it enough. It doesn't matter what occupation it is. Only an employer can sponsor registered apprenticeship in 3 ways. A single employer, a group of employers, or a group of employers in partnership with labor. We focus on placing our graduates in the high-quality programs that are run jointly between labor and private sector. That's what registered apprenticeship is. There's lots of good stuff out there. I was very pleased that the President mentioned registered apprenticeship yet again in his State of the Union address. There's lots of good articles out there, PBS, Wall Street Journal, great studies, all sorts of good information that I won't bore you with right now around how effective that system is. So we had an advantage. What we had to do was leverage that system. So we had to close that skill gap on the front end of the system. Make sure that candidates are well prepared. And that's where the pre-apprenticeship program comes into play. As you can see, about 200, the bottom half of that chart represents an annual training cycle. About 200 people are interested in learning more than walk through our doors every time we open them. And we don't advertise. 200 people walk through the doors. They know about it because of our graduates. They know about it because they see the success of their peers in the community and they say, how do I get that? How do I get a career? And they find us. It's not right for everybody. The construction industry is incredibly rigorous. So we have a lot of evaluation on the front end, and because there's so many people and so few staff, that takes us a little while. But we get to this point where we do a 32-hour hands-on evaluation to prove that people know what they're getting into. We're not testing for hard skills. We're making sure that somebody can work to industry norms. So we do that. That's that 64. That's how many people we can have in that evaluation process. 4 cycles of 16. And from that, that is our only programmatic cut point. Somebody has to be able to work to industry norms. Not the skills, but to the norms. Then they go into our pre-apprenticeship program culminates in a 200-hour hands-on training. And from that, they get placed in a registered apprenticeship programs of their choice. The graduates will explain to you, as hopefully some of you can stay for the tour a little bit later, but basically what you see here and what you will see in the back are ways for people in a hands-on manner to explore what their aptitudes might be. Many people don't even know how many building trades there are, let alone whether they would want to go into that career. And you have to explore it hands-on to know that. That's what all of our training exercises do. You touch so many different trades. Electricians, iron workers, carpenters, labor. I'm not going to list them all because I'll miss somebody and then I'll get yelled at later. All right? So there's a lot that we do, and it's a hands-on exploration. It allows somebody to see what they're good at. When they get into their registered apprenticeship, I'm very proud. 93% retention in the first year of apprenticeship. And really, that doesn't really go down that much. It does go down some over the entire length. That's the first year of a registered apprenticeship, but we're in the high 80s over a career. And you know, the point is that people are coming out the other side as skilled trades workers who now have an occupation they can take anywhere in the country, just like I did. My registered apprenticeship program was in California. When I came to Rhode Island, I went to work. That's the power of registered apprenticeship, and that's the power our graduates have found. They are earning, they advance, they're staying, and they're journeying out on the other side. And that actually, that number on the top, even since we printed the graphic, is now 27 journey workers, as another one of, actually, Michael's apprentices journeyed out just in between printing that and now, okay? They are earning a good living. On average, on the 12 trades that we've placed in the most, $35 an hour on the wage, $22 an hour on benefits. Okay? So, that's the solution that our collaboration came up with on the skills gap piece. Now the problem is, okay, but it's a down economy, the workforce is aging, and we know that there's not enough apprentices being trained right now in the field to meet future demand. How do we address that? That is our apprenticeship utilization program, the demand side of our programming. So what that does is it creates a system to increase the utilization of apprentices on the job right now. And that's very important because it is one of those odd situations where the market is not going to correct itself, because contractors, by market forces, are dictated to look at their short-term profitability. They have to survive, especially in a down economy. They have to worry about maximum productivity, living bid to bid. It's the people who use construction services who can take the longer-term view. And that's who we partner with on apprenticeship utilization. Strong institutions like Brown University, core partner. Other private sector users as well. We partner with them to say, if we have a shortage of labor later, your costs are going to increase, we better address this now. Because when everybody participates in registered apprenticeship on a job site, nobody is at a competitive disadvantage. So it is that correction, and it's needed, and it works. There are 42 since our initial pilot with the Providence Career and Technical Academy in the city of Providence, and then our next pilot was with Brown University at the J. Walter Wilson building. From that point, 42 separate construction contracts have had apprenticeship utilization program in place. And what you see in that chart there is where they're mapped. So many of them have been in the city of Providence, we pulled that out a bit. And what you see across the top of that second chart is the highlight of the results at Brown University. So those are all mapped. You know, you can read if you have very, very good vision. The key down at the bottom of all the other projects, yeah, it's small. I know it is. But I'll tell you all about every one of them if you want. But let's just look at Brown as an example because they're such a strong partner. So 6 years, 16 projects, 68 unduplicated apprentices started their career there. They worked at more than one job, right? More than one projects over that $274 million worth of capital investment the university has made. Very impressive results. This works as a private sector solution trying to address the needs of the industry. We all need a healthy construction sector. If we don't have one, Darché, I don't mind you traveling to Boston to take their work. But what we do not want is them traveling here because we can't staff our own projects. That is a shame when we have the talent right here. And construction workers do travel. They will travel wherever the work is. If we have a skilled and trained workforce at the right level right now, we can make sure that Rhode Island projects are staffed by Rhode Islanders, and that is our mission, and that is what we are here to celebrate today. And I thank you very much for even listening to me to tell you this, because this has implications beyond us. A collaborative partnership, public, private, all of these good folks coming together in a collaborative way to figure out a solution works. I'm just talking about our 2 core programs. I will not bore you with everything else that we do, because there's just not enough time. But we do customize trainings. We have an excellent welding program that's running right now. right? We bringing people up to welding certification. I'll tell you another elective training that we started recently that's incredibly impressive. We started a home building program, right? So we will figure out a solution to a problem with anyone who chooses to partner with us. So we're asking you today to think in your own hats, well, how could we potentially partner? How could Building Futures potentially help us? What value could we bring to you? I'd like to figure that out with you all, right? And we are ready to do that. So just to wrap this up, first, some funders, some thank yous I should not skip, and I have to mention our funders. Incredible support. United Way of Rhode Island, the Rhode Island Foundation, the Department of Transportation, LISC, the Governor's Workforce Board, the Emerald Cities Collaborative, Consortium America, City of Providence, Citizens Bank, Bank of America, all of these folks make this work possible. Okay, so I have to thank them. And many of those funders are here with us today, and I am very pleased by that. But the things that I would like you to take away from today, there is an incredible value that evidence can demonstrate. I don't mind skepticism. Be skeptical, because the data will back it up. The results will back it up. You can be as skeptical as you would like. Give us a chance to prove it, and we will. Okay. Registered apprenticeship has a value that is well beyond the construction sector. So just to get people familiar with that, please take away the fact that registered apprenticeship is powerful and an underutilized tool for workforce development. Second, we can bring some value. We figured out a solution within our own sector. We need to expand that solution to meet all industry need, because right now we are doing this with private sector partners. It needs to be bigger than this if we're going to meet the demands for tomorrow. So there's a value in partnering with us. We will help you create a solution. We will do that to the best of our ability, and we don't mind if you're skeptical. Kick the tires. Let us prove it. The data is there. And finally, the value of partnership in order to create these solutions. I appreciate the accolades, but this is not just a question of vision or leadership. This is a question of positive collaborations, strong partnerships, unusual suspects coming together to figure out the solutions for Rhode Island for tomorrow. And I will close with that, and thank you very much. Please stay for the tour.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Labor Vision. We appreciate your input and encourage your comments. Labor Vision can be seen on this channel 3 times each week: Tuesday at 7 p.m., Thursday at 8 p.m., and Saturday at 5 p.m. Welcome to this edition of Labor Vision. I'm Bob Delaney, Executive Director of the Institute for Labor Studies and Research. Labor Vision, a production of the Institute, focuses on topics of importance to working Rhode Island families. We hope you enjoy this evening's edition.
Our next speaker is Congressman James Langevin, and Jim has been a fighter for middle-class jobs and middle-class families in Rhode Island from the very beginning of his career. The work that he has done to help Building Futures succeed has been extraordinary. I want to thank him for that and ask him to say a few words. Congressman Jim Langevin.
Well, Pat, thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. It's great to be here with this great crowd. I remember being here just a couple of years ago when we kicked off Rhode Island Building Futures, and obviously it's taken hold and it's growing rapidly, and it's going to make a big difference and is making a big difference in terms of getting our workers trained with the right skills to do the jobs that are available right now. And I want to just begin by saying how pleased I am to be here today with my colleagues in the delegation, Senator Reid and Congressman Cicilline, and as Pat said, I know that Senator Whitehouse, he sends his regrets, wishes he could be here, but he, along with the rest of the delegation, believe in this program. And we've been doing everything we can to make sure that we support your efforts. And I also want to send a special recognition to Pat McGuigan, obviously with the Providence Plan, as well as Building Futures Director Andrew Cortés for their vision and their leadership. This is truly a program worth investing in, and both Andrew and Pat obviously are people who truly understand the significant value of apprenticeship opportunities and meeting the demand for properly trained employees. So, of course, none of this would be possible without the collaboration of our industry, trade, and educational partners, and I also want to thank them for their steadfast commitment and to building a highly skilled workforce. And we have a lot of people in the room, obviously, who support this effort. Michael Sabatoni, I know George Nee is here, a lot of folks from labor, and too many to mention. But I thank them for their partnership, along with our members of the legislature who are here as well. Building Futures really is at the heart of an issue that's very important to me, something I spend a lot of time on in the Congress, and one that should be really important to all of us, and that's closing our skills gap. Many employers right now are looking to expand here in Rhode Island. I know because I hear it when I travel around the district and meet with them, and I ask them, you know, what is it that they need the most right now? And one of the things, in addition to access to capital, is obviously having a skilled workforce that can do the jobs that are available. But it's hard to find workers with the skills necessary to succeed in these jobs right now. That's why Rhode Island Building Futures is so important. And obviously, if we want companies to come here and relocate to Rhode Island, we can't expect them to do that if we don't have the workforce ready for them when they get here. So this is obviously a very important part of that effort. The construction trades are an important part of solving this dilemma, and trained welders, carpenters, plumbers, and other similar tradespeople obviously will always be in demand, and it's vital that we meet that demand to provide Rhode Islanders with skilled employment opportunities that will help drive our economic recovery. That's what's going to build a strong Rhode Island for the future. The success, of course, though, of any training program does lie in an employer-educator partnership, and that's what this program is all about. Through strong engagement of local businesses, Building Futures will be able to ensure that students can graduate with the ability to succeed in their chosen field. The emphasis on in-demand skills cannot be obviously overstated, and the easiest way to make sure that training matches workplace needs is to work in close conjunction with key employers in the construction fields. So these partnerships benefit not only the students, but the companies as well. Programs like Building Futures are a long-term investment in a trained workforce. And right now, there are 145 individuals that have been placed as registered apprentices thanks to the experience at Building Futures. And I think that's something really to celebrate. There's 145 people that are in good-paying jobs right now helping to build a stronger Rhode Island. So these jobs span 12 different construction trade fields. They boast a retention rate of 93%, thanks to the Building Futures' continued support during the first year of employment. I think that follow-up is essential. That support that they need is there. And let me just say in closing, again, focusing a lot on this type of education, these types of training programs. As co-chair of the Congressional Career and Technical Education Caucus, I'm working with my colleagues both in Washington and here in Rhode Island to support the skills training at all levels of education. Additionally, last year, I also introduced a Counseling for Career Choice Act, which assists school counselors to gain awareness of local workforce trends and help students follow the path towards a fulfilling career that's going to be robust for them. It's going to provide a good living wage and help them build a strong future for themselves and their families. So I just want to say I am committed to expanding apprenticeships and on-the-job training, and obviously these are proven ways for students to build careers and for our state to build a bright economic future. And I certainly look forward to working with everyone here as we expand Rhode Island's construction industry with a skilled workforce. This is a great day for Rhode Island, a great thing to celebrate. So thank you all very much.
This is a private sector initiative, and without private employers and private contractors and private users who commit to building futures, we don't have anything to work on. I want to introduce Steve Marisi. If you haven't checked out the posters, check it out. Brown University has been the #1 sponsor of Building Futures projects in the entire state. It was a commitment that started with former President Simmons, has committed with President Paxson, but the go-to person at Brown is Steve Marisi. And so I'd like to have Steve say a few words.
Thank you. Good morning. It's a pleasure to join all of you today to represent Brown University as we mark the success that Building Futures has proven to be. I wish that I could say that 6 years ago, when Andrew and Greg came to meet with me to introduce Building Futures program and to encourage Brown's participation, that I could have predicted how successful this program would become, but that would not be accurate. In fact, I have to admit that as they described the program to me at the time, I was a little bit skeptical. It all sounded very good, almost too good in some ways, but in the end, I knew that it reflected the values of Brown, so we agreed to move forward with the initial pilot project. That was 16 projects ago, and since then, Brown has invested $274 million in construction and renovation projects that have included partnering with Building Futures. These projects themselves have had tremendous value for the economy of our city and state, and the Building Futures program offers even greater rewards, namely providing opportunities for the 68 Building Futures apprentices who have worked on these Brown projects, a truly committed workforce, and building a pipeline for skilled labor for Providence and Rhode Island. The Building Futures program reflects Brown's values of providing opportunities for talented individuals regardless of income, economic circumstances. The program has offered an exceptional pathway to strengthen the construction workforce in our city and state, and Brown is pleased to have been an early partner. It's been a great partnership. On a personal level, it's been a tremendous experience. The pilot program that we started evolved seamlessly into a standard of practice at Brown and eventually led to the recent Memorandum of Understanding, which includes Brown's agreeing to incorporate Building Futures program into all of our construction projects over $5 million. I would like to conclude by saying a few words about the apprentices that show up every day to work on Brown's campus. I have been impressed and encouraged to see energetic, enthusiastic, talented individuals who take pride in their work. The apprentices we see on the job every day are deliberate in seizing the opportunity to make a difference for themselves and their coworkers. Great credit is due to Andrew Cortés and his staff for the incredible work they do in preparing the candidates to be successful in their work. As a result, the reputation of the program and the apprentices produces is strong. Thank you for the opportunity to be a partner. We have all benefited from the program, and I look forward to many more projects in our Building Future.
You know, $274 million, a couple more like that, we could really make a dent in the unemployment here in Rhode Island. Building Futures is the construction sector workforce initiative for the state of Rhode Island. It's an initiative that brings employers and labor together. On behalf of the construction industry, John Sinnott from the Associated General Contractors, who's been an active partner in Building Futures.
Thank you. Good morning. I also work for a small construction company that was set up 140 years ago by an immigrant. So I'm looking at the names here, and I'm wondering if there's going to be a Reyes or a Hood construction later on in 140 years. So I'm going to keep it real simple. I want you to come away with 4 points. The first point, Building Futures is about careers, not jobs. It's not about creating jobs. It's about developing careers, lifelong careers. Number 2, if you want to know what economic development looks like, this is it. This is the start of economic development. Come right here. Number 3, you hear about what's a public-private partnership. This is a public-private partnership. This is everybody pitching in to make it work. And last point, number 4, investment. Think about those wonderful investments that you made, and think about 2008. Now think about the investment that was made in here in 2008, and look at the return. Thank you.
From the very beginning, the building trades and the Construction and Building Trades Council have been there with Building Futures. Mike Sabatoni is a member of our executive committee. Mike is the chair of our apprenticeship utilization committee. Mike says he is a boots on the ground kind of guy. And I'll tell you, I want Mike on our side making these things happen. And so Mike Sabatoni, say a few words, please.
Thank you, Pat. Good morning. I'd also like to say a special thanks to 2 individuals that are here today. And as you had heard, this program would have never got off the ground if it wasn't for the commitment of then Mayor Cicilline, and then the commitment, and I was at that meeting as well, and you were extremely skeptical about this program and Brown University, because as you hear, it takes partners, and it takes investment, and it takes a lot of organizations and people to come together to accomplish things of this nature. So I want to say to both of you, thank you very much for your commitment. One of the things I'm most proud of as president of the building trades is the diversification of the building trades, and that's what this program does. It looks into disadvantaged populations, minorities, to bring them into a career path in construction. And I couldn't be more proud of, as a proud father. When I took over as president in 2007, I was a little skeptical when Andrew came and visited me, and I said, this is a type of program that we need. As you start to look at the posters, you'll see that the average age of our construction workforce across the country is somewhere around 50 years old. And our numbers are anywhere between 20 and 25% over 55. We have an extremely aging population in the building trades. When you combine that with a down economy, it's really difficult to commit and bring young people into our industry, which is why we need the second thing, which is the demand. We need the demand. We need the commitments of construction users, both public and private, to invest in that demand so that we can continue to create work opportunities, entry-level opportunities, and in construction, that's through apprenticeship, so that we can continue to bring young people and afford them opportunities in our industry. I'll close with this, and I just want everybody, especially the decision makers and the construction users in Rhode Island of our services, to do this exercise after you take this tour here today. Next time you read an article in a newspaper about workforce development or lack of job skills, next time, or pick up a copy of this week's Providence Business News and look, where are the workers going to come from and what we need and how are we going to get them? Remember where you were this morning in the tour that you're about to take, because this is the solution to those problems. And I just want to give one more shout out. The building trades and the trade unions do a lot of good things. But one of the most important things that we don't do is we don't employ anybody. And that's why it's so pivotal to have our contractors here with us as well, because as we come together as a joint labor management team, we have a job at the end of the skill set. So I'm extremely proud to be here. I thank you all for coming, and I hope you enjoy the talk. Thank you.
Wow. Man, I think I got set up on this one. But thank you, everybody. Patrick Quinn, 1199 SEIU. Thank you to all my members and board members who give me a wonderful support every day and keep me on the straight and narrow. Thanks to all my brothers and sisters in SEIU, State Council. We really, really have a great organization in the state, and we want to build it. George asked me to say a couple of things on healthcare. I just want to echo what Frank said. Developmentally disabled population is really taken on the chin in the last couple of years, as well as obviously the workers who take care of them every day. And thankfully, the General Assembly, I want to thank them for putting some money back in there. We still have a long way to go. The state has essentially said, we want to figure out a way to improve the system. They did it under a court challenge, and a settlement with the Federal Department of Justice. So hopefully we can follow through on that. We can improve the quality of people's lives in the DD system, and we want to be partners in that with all the other locals that represent people in that area. So I just wanted to touch briefly on what I think is a huge step forward, which is the opening of the health exchange. But I want to kind of take 1 minute to echo what Michael said, which was we really have to fix this misclassification issue. It affects people obviously in construction, in janitorial, and a lot of other industries. But it's sort of the evil genius of the people that we go up against every day, that they figured out a way to reclassify somebody, and they're not an employee, so all the protections that we all have worked for and our parents work for, to have people have the ability to have some rights on the job because they're an employee, they vaporize that in 30 seconds by saying they're not an employee, they're a contractor. So we really got to get that done. Our friends in the Senate got that done. We got to make sure the House understands in an election year we're not going to put up with that again. We need that protection for everybody, whether they're in their union or they're not a union. And it's a huge step forward. It has tax implications in terms of the revenue of the state, and it's really caters to people who are bottom feeders, who want to figure out a way to pay people something less than minimum wage, or not pay taxes, or not pay workers' compensation. So we really got to get that fixed. That's a priority for our organization, and we want to make sure that happens. But and also to just touch briefly on what Frank said, the people who've had a run the last couple of years in trying to figure out a way to inject all of the public education dollars with all this, market crap, for lack of a better word, are trying to get their hooks into healthcare and trying to figure out a way to use privatization and downward pressure on wages. In fact, they found a Trojan horse in the healthcare reform to say, well, we have to reduce costs, we have to cut wages, we have to lay people off, and we have to tighten everybody's belt, except they never tighten their belt, the people at the top. So I anticipate that as the healthcare reform takes hold in the state, there'll be a lot of pressure on folks in the healthcare, in the hospitals in particular, to lower their standards. We intend on fighting vigorously against that because we think it's a bad idea to try and drive down wages for skilled nurses and techs and other people who deliver wonderful care in our state. There's a disconnect because our politicians are saying we need to grow the economy through meds and eds, except it's been very difficult for registered nurses who graduate from RIC or URI or CCRI or Salve to find a job in the last few years. It's been extremely difficult. No one's been hiring. So we need to figure that out. We need more healthcare professionals to deliver care in the community. That we're hoping is something that begins to turn around in the next few years. I just wanted to leave a couple of bullet points. I'm hoping to educate people and give them something to take away from this. And it has to do with the insurance exchange, which opened up on October 1st. 2,000 people now have insurance that didn't have insurance. I think that's something that we should celebrate. Most of the people who are working, who do not have insurance are working. 54% of the people in the state who don't have insurance are working. right? To me, that's an organizing challenge, because if they're working, that means we can figure out a way to bring them into one of our different locals or one of our different affiliates and push up from the bottom. But also, we now have a floor through the exchange where people who don't have insurance can go and get it. That's important for the solvency of all of the healthcare institutions in the state, because when people show up, we're not so inhuman that we don't treat them, but they don't get paid. So people without insurance put tremendous stress on hospitals and on other providers, and hopefully we can move the needle on that and get those folks insured. Not going to come as a surprise to you, but almost half of the people who are uninsured are below 138% of the federally poverty level, which means they're making either in the teens or the low 20s, depending on the size of their family. So they're working people, but they're just working at low wages in industries and sectors that don't have health insurance. That's a challenge for us to try and organize those workers, because all the jobs that we have today that have good wages and benefits at one point didn't. We organized them and we pushed up from the bottom and we improved conditions, and now those are, quote, good jobs. Well, they weren't good jobs when they started out. So the number of uninsured, as long as it stays at 14% in our state, then all of our insurance is under attack. So we should try to do what we can to bring people into our union and also grow the access to the exchange and make sure that people can get health insurance through the exchange. 22% of the people who are uninsured work for an employer that offers insurance, but the costs are too high, or there's other, obstacles that put in their way. They keep them below 30 hours and they don't get access to it. Most of those people that don't have insurance are single childless adults, which means they're probably working. We've done an excellent job in this state, thanks to some of the leadership in the General Assembly and other places, to cover moms, to cover kids under 18, but single childless adults up till now have not have insurance. That's going to change through the exchange and through the expansion of Medicaid. But it's also our challenge to organize those workers and get them into our unions and push up standards. The other thing that I want to leave you with is it's obviously been an extremely difficult couple of years in terms of the unemployment rate and people trying to find jobs and trying to get employment. Half of the people who are uninsured have been insured for more than 12 months, which means they have difficulty accessing care, which means they probably don't have the meds that they need to control whatever condition they have. So unemployment leads to more people having no insurance, which means they don't find the care that they need for the most part. We have an opportunity through the health exchange to try and fix that, but it's also an organizing challenge, because we got to figure out a way to get people back to work. And when we have a system where, for the most part, people are getting their insurance through their job, getting people back to work will solve that. So it's all kind of a bundle. Our hospitals have been under stress because there's a lot more people without insurance. There's a lot of people out of work, which means there's people that don't have insurance. The health exchange has enrolled 2,000 people, but there's approximately 45,000 people, by the best estimates they can come up with, that don't have insurance in the state and can't get access to it. So we got to get that message out to people that the exchange is there for folks. Obviously, we have some issues with the overall health care law. We'll hear about that later in the some of the resolutions. But talking to our members who, for whatever reason, because they don't work enough hours or they don't have regular employment, about getting health care through the exchange will help them, it'll help the economy, it'll help get folks back to work. So I would just ask that people view this as also, what can we do to bring more people into our unions? And then I'd just like to close on this public-private issue, because I think it's one that's near and dear to our heart. We have, in SEIU, we have public workers and we have private workers. We have many private sector workers who are publicly funded, and I really do believe it's a distinction without a difference, because many of the dollars that are spent by public entities employing private workers. We need to lift up conditions for all those workers and not try to drag down the public sector just because they have a little bit more. That's something that we feel strongly about in SEIU, because we have jurisdiction in both areas. So those are just some points that I felt was important to kind of understand what's happening. And I appreciate your time again. Maureen, George, congratulations, and thank you very much.
Resolution number 16, a resolution supporting the Providence Renaissance Hotel workers, submitted by Unite Here, Local 217, and the committee moves passage.
Been a motion and a second. I believe we do have a speaker on this issue. Sister at mic to the right. Would you just identify yourself and what union you're from, sister?
Hello, hi, good evening. My name is Carmen Castillo. I'm a member of the Local 217, part of the Security Board, and also work for the Westin Hotel. I'm a room attendant here, and also I'm the City Councilwoman for the City of Providence. So the reason I'm here tonight, I want to share with you, I'm fighting for almost 20 years with the Local 217 to create good jobs in the hotel in Providence. So now I'm here to support the workers for the Renaissance Hotel because I think that's unfair what is happening here. There's a lot of abuse, and that's why we wanted, you support that resolution. And I got here one of the co-workers, his name is Julian, and he want to explain why he's fighting for. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother, if you just identify yourself and what union you're from.
I'm going to translate for him.
Okay, sure.
Mi nombre es Julián Bello. Yo soy trabajador de housekeeping. Trabajo para el Hotel Renaissance. Venimos aquí esta noche para recibir un apoyo de toda la comunidad de Roala, que estamos aquí todos reunidos y queremos una sola lucha. Nosotros creemos que con el apoyo de ustedes podemos triunfar.
My name is Julian Bello. I work at the Renaissance Hotel. I'm a houseman there. I'm here addressing the convention because we're in a big fight at the hotel. We're asking for support. We're going to call a boycott. We're asking for your support in our fight. We want one big fight for all workers in Rhode Island.
Thank you. You've heard support for the resolution. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Labor Vision. We appreciate your input and encourage your comments. Labor Vision can be seen on this channel 3 times each week: Tuesday at 7 p.m., Thursday at 8 p.m., and Saturday at 5 p.m.